Thank you for joining us for today's web conference, Raising the Bar with Integrated Key Access Management, Control, and Reader Technologies. I'm John Ogle, Membership Engagement Manager for NACU. Joining me today are Heather Frazier, Marketing Manager with Traca Americas, Roth Saravolo, Northeast Regional Sales Manager with Traca Americas, Brett St. Pierre, Director of Education Solutions with HID Global, and Ed Wasmer, Regional EAC Campus Manager with ASSA ABLOY. Heather, I'll turn it over to you. Welcome.
Thank you, John, and to all who are joining us. Today's webinar is designed to provide you with an overview of the ecosystem of intelligent solutions that are designed to help universities and colleges save time, save money, create safer perimeters for their faculty and students, and also track the entry and exit movements of campus visitors, while also helping to manage critical facility assets. Each of your hosts represent years of expertise delivering the right solutions to campuses worldwide, and each represent a long-standing company within the global leader in door opening solutions, ASSA ABLOY. Without further ado, let's begin our discussion today with Ed Wasmer. He is the EAC Campus Manager for ASSA ABLOY Door Solutions, and he is the champion of framing the foundation of any security access solution, doors. Ed?
Well, thank you, Heather. That was nice. Thank you. And I want to thank Traca very much for letting us have a little moment during your presentation. So thank you as a sister and brother company, as well as Brett St. Pierre's with HID as well. So thank you, and thank you, NACU, as well. So yeah, so I've been doing this for a very long time, so I can get really deep in the weeds and confuse people, or I can just go very, very basic and very simple. So I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. But yeah, I've been doing this for 17 years. I work out of the New Haven corporate offices. ASSA ABLOY is the global leader in all sorts of door opening solutions. When you're looking at a door inside your facility, everything around that door, the door itself, the frames, the locks, the cylinders, door closers, all the things that you don't think about, or you don't think about until you need them. All those things, all the best in class of those products are part of our portfolio. My specific role is, and all I do is I just speak with the folks in university, and that's all I've done for 17 years. And essentially it's all about card access and expanding your access control footprint on campus. Started off a long time ago. All it was a mortise lock with a mag stripe card. It was like a hotel kind of lock, and basically it was all about removing that metal key from the student having to not have to manage that metal key and utilize your student ID card. Probably at the time was a mag stripe card, and put it all into that one type of system, make it easier for you to manage. So as you see from this slide here, I mean, what ASSA ABLOY does is everything here. We can provide you all sorts of solutions on your perimeter, your res life, interior, academic, administrative buildings. And again, our important partners, specialized partners at Traca and HID. Also, what's been a big thing to talk about this year has been touchless, right? So I don't have to tell you why, but we have very low touch or touchless types of solutions to basically minimize a student or anybody in the facility having to touch things. So there's all sorts of price points and ways to do that. Access control provides that. A lot of mechanical products offer that as well. So that's what we're here to help with anytime whenever folks need to learn about it. We pull in the right experts to do that. Also, all of our access control solutions, basically my main focus is basically access control on the interior of buildings. We have all these innovative products, basically IP products and wireless products that basically allow you to, again, expand your access control footprint on a campus, utilizing your one card or your student ID card on campus. Our products are IP products, which are Wi-Fi and PoE, utilize existing infrastructure The lock, everything terminates at the lock, so you're minimizing all the components around the door, so you don't have to run all these wires, all this expensive labor to connect all those wires. You're eliminating power supplies, access control panels, sometimes running expensive network cabling to the doors as well. So we're trying to figure out ways to utilize what you have on campus already, like your existing 802.11 access points, your PoE switches, and again, your ID, your student ID card. Really important too is we have from our brother and sister company HID, we utilize a multi-class reader in all of our access control lever set locks. So we have probably the largest variation of we can accommodate pretty much any type of credential, contactless credential, high security credential. I'll let Brett talk about all that. He knows a lot more than I do. But so we know there's a lot of things going on in campus as far as mobile ID and using your mobile phone, and we can talk about those things at any time that you need that type of consulting or help. So again, traditional hardwired exterior access control, high volume openings, high security openings. We have all the products around that opening to help you make that happen. And maintaining your security on the exterior. Then we have, on the interior, Wi-Fi. Again, it's these locks don't utilize your bandwidth. They work offline and they jump on the network at very strategic times to refresh. And they also have real time alarming. Basically, any type of activity at the door, you get a real time report on those things. You have PoE, which is it's real time, it's connected, again, power and data with one cable without using power supplies and all the other things around the door, real time. We also all have what are called our hub-based wireless solutions, which are sub 10-second connection, real time battery powered wireless to a hub, and then wired all the way back to your access control system, utilizing, again, HID readers and credentialing for all those for all these locks I just mentioned. So I think that's all I had. And if there's any questions at the end, well, I'll jump in and try to confuse you even more. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. And now let's move on to Brett St. Pierre. Brett is with HID Global, as Ed mentioned. And Brett, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little bit older than Ed. So, 23 years with HID. I've been with the organization back from the Hughes, or right after the Hughes aircraft days, and that's where HID, came from, as Hughes Identification Devices. And ASSA ABLOY acquired HID back in 2000. And what they were after, since they focus on the doors so much, is to add a reader technology platform that they could put within their locks. And then, of course, HID also manages the identity side for use on campuses with any type of reader technology. So there's a lot of different use cases on campus for card technologies, and there's a wide variety of different technologies available. HID, ASSA ABLOY, and of course Traka can support virtually almost any technology that's chosen on campus. So my responsibility has been focusing on education. Back when I was a regional sales manager, I did have some key accounts like Stanford that are NACU members, and also participate a little bit in SIA, which is the Security Industry Association, and other associations like PASS K-12, which focuses a little bit more on the K-12 space than higher education. So I do have a lot of knowledge, so if there are any questions, be happy to answer those. So I am based in California. It's not like this with palm trees. This isn't the backyard of the house, but instead of my bedroom, I'd rather share this because my wife teaches third grade, and she took over my office until they go back to school. So All is good, but I am really looking forward to the next NACU, meeting everybody in person. This whole family is just a phenomenal vertical market, just the people willing to share, be a part of, and also have some fun at the Asa Abloy hospitality event next year. Hopefully, Ed, you're putting on another show. So Heather, go ahead and go to the next slide. What Heather asked is kind of talk about different solutions and pain points. I could talk for hours on all of these different topics. So kind of covering some of the basics. So mobile access is a pretty big trend. And if you're a college campus or a university that, is using MagStripe today, there are options to go directly from MagStripe over to mobile access. And what mobile access is doing is it's providing more convenience for the users. Instead of having to come to the card office to pick up a card, stand in line, wait, even lost cards can be provisioned over the air. So it really provides more of a touchless type solution if you're concerned about having students, congregate in the card office and stand in line and, potentially, I don't want to say cause transmissions, but, definitely a safer environment. Student loses a card as an example. Maybe they're coming home, from work that day. They could reach out technically to like a res hall RA or security office and say, hey, I lost my card. They would physically have to go to a location, whereas mobile access control can be provisioned over the air in the case of lost cards, or if a integrator or somebody is coming to campus to do some work, you can issue a temporary mobile identity for that user for that set period of time and revoke it back so you don't have to rely on somebody returning a card, as an example. And then probably one of the top threes is sharing cards in the college environment. Hey, could you go pick something up from my room? Here's my card. That's less likely to happen with mobile access because, of course, they want to make sure their social media checks are every 5 minutes, and they don't want to have to rely on getting that card back. Since it is tied to the phone, it is a little bit more secure. From the access control standpoint, lockdowns are important. Of course, the environment should be free or open during regular hours, but the ability to lock down certain doors based on certain events is extremely important. And then, of course, controlling access to those individuals after hours would be important as well. On the visitor side, knowing who's in your building is very important. Whether it be a student visiting a student, you want to make sure that that you don't have a paper logbook where they could write down Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, or what have you. So some sort of electronic way to manage your visitors is a growing trend within higher education. A lot of different use cases, all the way from res halls to bio labs, parents visiting, just knowing who's on campus, not technically where they're going, but just managing the visitors in a better way. Biometrics is also a growing trend. One of the things that this resolves is a pain point to a degree based on touchless. So facial recognition is growing. Fingerprint biometrics probably are still the most popular, most cost-effective for biometrics, but manufacturers like HID and others were looking to go out and make this more of a touchless environment where facial recognition, mobile access control, other types of technologies can bring forth multiple verifications of an individual. It could be something you have, something that you are, like a biometric, or something that which would be a PIN pad. And then on the secure card printing side, HID does provide printers, software to manage the identities. Fargo Connect is kind of the new and leading technology as far as card issuance. And it gives you the ability to print remotely, capture photos, do a lot of things outside of the actual card office. So their integration is probably about 70% of the one card providers out there have integrated to it. And of course, there would be something to look at to kind of broaden your card office and make it more of a seamless or a touchless environment. Next slide, please. And then some of the other security concerns that are out there. I know that NACU had the presentation around, contact tracing, social distancing. HID actually has a product which is called Location Services. So what contact tracing is basically, it's indoor GPS. So it's a triangulation as far as where that person, whether it be a phone or a piece of plastic, is. And what that gives the universities to do, and this is a trend probably over the last 6 months that has been growing significantly, is you can actually identify who came in contact with another individual. As an example, if that person actually tested positive, you can go back and contact trace where they were, who they were involved with or around for whatever set period of time. So that is a whole 2-hour conversation based on the overall solution. The other component to that is social distancing. So basically what you do is you have a battery operated badge, and if that badge detects another badge within 6 feet, as an example, for an extended period of time, 2-3 minutes or what have you, it starts to chirp. So it's kind of like the prairie dog look, where people are looking over the cubicles trying to see who's not social distancing. So it gives a very social way to mitigate people that aren't following the social distancing rules and regulations for your organization. Thirdly, remote learning. HID does have a division that does data encryption, VPN access, push notifications for 2-factor authentication. It allows you to, protect data more so, from outside phishing and, encryption by encrypting files, folders, or data on campus. So that's not my specialty, but HID does have a division that can help network access or remote learning, being able to authenticate users better than just passwords. And then lastly, contactless access control and authentication. I mean, that is probably the growest trend, or the most important trend right now, not necessarily for education, but outside of education as well, going back to a safe learning environment. So there are many, many different solutions in how to tackle many different issues or problems that may come up on campus. So, typically we like to have a dialogue around what your needs are, what your pain points are, and then we can kind of assess the situation and provide some recommendations. So Heather, outside of that, I think it's back to you.
Thank you so much, Brett. All right, so we've gone through the doors and how to get through them with access readers. Now I'm going to turn the webinar over to our very own TRACA's Rafael Saravalo. He is one of our regional sales managers and experts in the university for key access management. Raf, it's all on you.
Thanks, Heather. Hey guys, welcome. Thanks again. Thanks NACU for having us and so on. So again, my name is Raf. I'm the regional sales manager for the Northeast for TRACA USA. I've been now on TRACA for going on 8 years now. Before that, I spent 13 years in the access control side of things, working for a manufacturer here in Rochester, New York on access control, doing everything from product management, project management, trainer, as well as professional engineering services. And now I'm on the sales side here at TRACA. TRACA, for you guys that don't know, TRACA's been around for over 25 years. We are headquartered in the UK, and we're in about 43 countries worldwide now with over 12,000 installations. TRACA USA, who Heather and I work for, is a wholly owned subsidiary of TRACA UK, and we're headquartered out of Orlando here in the US. So the US market is actually fairly new to us. We just joined the US market back in 2009, so a very short period. We were acquired by ASSA ABLOY back in 2012. I'm very proud to be part of that organization. And as I mentioned, you know, with Tracker being in 12,000 installations over 43 countries, you know, in the last 10 years, 1,500 of those are here in the US. So we've been growing really, really fast. Out of those, higher education has been a pretty fast growing vertical for us as well. Currently over 200 campuses are using Tracker nationwide, with over 950 Tracker solutions deployed between those campuses, whether it's our intelligent locker systems or our intelligent key systems. Next slide. So with higher education, we've noticed a growing trend in, you know, what's happening worldwide or nationwide with universities and campuses. A lot of it has to do with actually managing their keys and their assets, whether they basically have no system to manage it, or a antiquated, outdated system, or what have you, or a system that's just really giving them a lot of issues and problems and not keeping up with today's technology. When you take consideration, you know, how campuses, you know, the amount of keys that are on a campus, you're looking at a lot of issues and liability when it comes to replacing keys. So for instance, you know, what you see there in the top left, you know, that personnel holding that giant key ring with all the keys of the kingdom, you know, and in a college campus, you might have, you know, 10, 15, 20 of these personnel walk around with these giant keys. If they lose that one key ring, you know, that's a huge liability, all right? So, and the cost to rekey a college campus can be anywhere from, you know, a couple $100,000 to a couple $1 million, depending on the size of the campus. And what's really more important too is really not so much that key, but whatever that key controls, right? Is that key controlling access to the mechanical closet, facility closet, the athletics room, you know, whatever. Along with keys, you know, what about managing other assets? You know, cell phones, radios, tablets, weapons, things that are basically unsecured. And, you know, the university is spending a lot of money on these assets, and they're either being loaned out to staff and personnel and students, not managing who's taking them because it's either a handwritten process or unmanaged process. Things such as compliance protocols as well is another big thing. A lot of campuses are going into situations where they want to protect and secure their campus with on other means, like maybe a long gun or handguns, or things that, you know, require quite a bit of regulation to make sure that, you know, that device is being secured when it's not used. When it is used, it's being handed off to the right person with probably certifications, making sure that when it is being handed off, it has been calibrated and tested and ready to go. When it comes back, if there's any issue, it gets reported. So all those things that need to be, you know, taken consideration. Along with all that, you know, is unknown users. You know, a lot of times, you know, with the old antiquated process of managing and handing out assets and keys, no one really knows who's handing out these keys, and no one knows if they're coming back or the assets are coming back. You know, they're just basically going from one person to another person, or one cabinet, one drawer to another drawer. And again, there's also the outdated management system, you know, whether it's, you know, pegboard still being used, whether it's, you know, boxes, a little lock key cabinet on there, you know, or, you know, some other, you know, key management systems out there that are probably just locking and storing a key and just doing that, but not really keeping up with today's technology and integration and screwing with the, you know, what's needed on the college campus. Next slide. So what Tracker does is basically, you know, we call ourselves intelligent key and asset management solutions. So we try to basically, you know, go outside the box, if you will, of just a small key box. We're really looking at more of a total solution, something that's going to grow with your campus, with, you know, your other systems, your other technologies, and be interactive. So we do have intelligent key management systems to make sure that those keys are only being authorized and given out to people who have access to them. No one else. They're still physically locked in a cabinet. If the cabinet's open, it's still physically locked. You can require different levels of authorization to take those keys out, you know, but we know exactly who took it, when they took it, how long they had it, when and if they brought it back, why they took it, if there's anything wrong with whatever that key controls. It's all being managed. And the same thing applies to your assets. You know, a lot of universities and campuses now are growing into, you know, being able to supply and provide, you know, their staff and their personnel with devices, loaner devices for laptops, or you know, personal safety devices if they're EMTs, or, you know, unique, you know, specialized equipment if they're working with campus safety or campus police, like CO2 detectors, or long guns, or, you know, high wave frequency radios, or whatever. The other thing with Track It too is that we are an enterprise level system, so we actually grow and expand with your system. The beauty about Track is that you can actually have one Track It database, one central system that manages, all your buildings, all your departments throughout the campus, and they can be regionalized so that when a region or a segment logs in, that department, that region is only managing credentials, assets, keys, running reports, managing user access specifically for their particular region or their department versus seeing what's happening across the other system. And this ties really well into, the card ID system, right? You have that one card that controls everything across campus. Same thing with Traca. So scalability in enterprise is a huge thing with us. We also have fleet management options to manage your fleet vehicles, whether it's your police vehicles, your buses, your farm equipment, your snow equipment, your construction equipment, whatever that case is, go-karts or golf carts for commencement days, whatever, knowing exactly who took it, when they took it, how long they had it. And even with fleet management options, keeping track of where it's parked or where it parked last, who had it last, what's the fuel in there, how many hours have been driven, or how many miles have been driven, what condition it's in. And all this information is kept track of in the database and can be spread out using our APIs to other systems as well, which leads us into integrations. One of the things with Traca that sets us apart from a lot of our competition is the ability to integrate. We're probably the first ones to come take a key management system and integrate it with other third-party systems, whether it's access control, digital video, time and attendance, ID management, you name it, and we can even not only grab information from that access control system or that third-party system and bring it to Traca to manage your cardholders, your credentials, your access. But we can also send information from Track It to that third-party system, whether it's alarms and events, whether it is keys taken, keys not returned, items returned in the wrong condition, items taken out for too long, or what have you. So there's a lot of different ways we can integrate with third-party systems, whether again Active Directory, access control, HR, ID management, what have you. Next slide, please. So some of the things that people take into consideration with Track It is that basically, again, it's more of a true enterprise level system. It's really more of a solution that provides a lot of things that you may have not have thought about in the past that, that where you can expand on for that particular ID, that credential of gaining access to other systems. So the beauty of Track It is the centralized administration and reporting, right? Even though it's an enterprise system, we have centralized reports to manage and monitor the usage of these devices. Who's taking out what keys more often? Why is that certain vehicle being driven more than, by the same person? Or why is that same, staff member taking out, the keys to the conference room on a weekend, bringing them up on Monday morning? Those type of things. The usage scalability too, as well, reporting on how often certain keys are being used, certain devices are being used, certain vehicles or radios or weapons, why is that weapon always being tested? Is there something wrong with it or what have you? The other big thing with Track It is the scalability and the decentralization of our systems, which saves a lot of money for users. You have a large campus, and traditionally you have a lock shop or facilities, or a lock shop where all your staff members will simply, walk from one side of campus to the other side of campus, grab the key, if it's even there, and walk back to the other side to, do whatever work they have to do for the day, whether it's housekeeping or what have you. That wastes a lot of time and money, walking 20 minutes to one side, grabbing the key 20 minutes back and doing it twice a day and so on and so forth. So the ability with Track is because our key cabinets can be networked, we can spread them out or decentralize them across your system. And now taking a giant key ring we saw earlier and breaking it apart and having only a limited amount of keys in that key box, limited amount of copies, and it's there next to that device that needs to be used. So that key to that dorm room is right there. That key to that mechanical closet is right there. That key to the fleet vehicle is right there. We're not having people walk around with these giant key rings and having a risk of losing that key ring, making multiple copies of it, and so on and so forth. So the ability to decentralize and having the key or the asset, access to it right there when you need to versus walking across campus saves a lot of time and money. And then again, having the tracker system intelligent control that is priceless as well. Unparalleled scalability. Again, I've been tracking now for 8 years, and I've seen what's out in the market, and I can honestly tell you, I don't think anybody comes close to the scalability that Track It has. Our controllers on our cabinets, where our power and data come in, those controllers can actually manage up to 720 key positions off one controller. So off the same data drop, the same power, which is the standard power, you can go up to 720 key positions off that same controller. And then our database can actually handle up to 2,000 controllers. So, when you do the math, it's almost like 1.4, 1.5 million sets of keys that we can manage from one central system. Pair that up with our smart features, things such as, curfews, how long the keys can be out for, or the assets, reason codes, how long that, why they're taking it, fault codes or fault logging, why, if there's any issue associated with it, maybe there's a check engine light on the vehicle, maybe there's a cracked screen on the laptop, maybe the two-way radio, it's got a battery that's draining. Those can all be recorded and then basically taken out of operation automatically at the time of, taking or returning that asset. Notes logging right on the point of entry, knowing exactly, certain things about that device. Item booking, multiple levels of authorization, the ability to basically, assign, 2 or 3 or 4 levels of supervision before a key and asset is removed in order to, be in compliance with certain regulations. And the other big thing to track it is a zero hardware maintenance. I mean, our system, I kid you not, is basically zero maintenance. One of the biggest complaints we have about, we hear about from our customers or who take and use our systems that are legacy systems, the previous systems, there's a lot of maintenance on the system. Whether it's tweaking certain things, whether it's, cleaning out the receptor strips or the fobs or what have you, all of that is a non-issue with Traka. There's no cleaning. It's basically with our silver bullet here, our iFob, some nickel-plated brass tube, and as it goes in and out of your pocket, nothing sticks away. It's self-cleaning. It's the only one in the industry that is basically waterproof and dustproof. So it fairly meets the needs of, certain IP ratings. And as far as the software goes, the software is also very minimal maintenance as well. We typically set up a system so that it's basically managed by exception only. So once the system's up and running, it's managed by exception only, meaning that the only time you really have to log into it is if you need to review a, forensics on a certain key or assets, dive deeper into the reporting. But we have scheduled reports, we have alarms and events that can be emailed or paged to your system. We got integrations where that alarm event can be integrated to your access control system, HR, Active Directory, digital video, intrusion, you name it. Even to the ability where basically something pulls out of our cabinet or puts back in our cabinet, we can actually activate or deactivate access levels from going in or out of areas, based on, certain things happening. So there's a lot of things that our system can do for you, a very powerful solution that once it's set up, it's very going to be low cost, low maintenance, minimal administration from your end, and still giving you the flexibility to, get the reporting capabilities and the management of these, expensive assets, keys, and so forth that you need in your system. Next page. Okay, I think that's it for me, so I'll hand it over back to Heather.
Thank you, Raf. Thank you. That is where we have our webinar right now. If we have any questions, feel free, we can answer those right now. John, I think I'm supposed to be able to see if there's any questions on the side somewhere, but I'm not sure where that is.
Yeah, just under the chat, but there's no questions at this point.
Okay, great. Awesome. Well, thank you again for everyone who has joined us. Thank you to Brett and Ed and Raf. Hopefully today you were able to learn a little bit more about an ecosystem of security and management solutions from our 3 companies within ASSA ABLOY, and how ASSA ABLOY can help you create a stronger, safer university campus. John, I'll turn that back over to you.
Okay, thanks, Heather. And thank you for the informative presentation from our presenters. Thank you to all our viewers for your attention. Our schedule of virtual events is posted online. Please check out our website at www.nacu.org. Our next event will be a virtual expo showcase presented by HID Global. Special thanks to our presenters today. I'm John Ogle with NACU. Enjoy your day.